This is the second of a series of 4 linked podcasts that takes you through the mark scheme for the A-level essay section A. The second podcast focuses in on the second strand, which is development and support. So we will zoom in. So again, looking to the far left, you've got the different levels. Level 1, remember, is a U, as is level 2, D to E for level 3, broadly speaking, and B to C for level 4, and then A for level 5, roughly speaking. Now, the second strand is very much about the supporting information that needs to go into your essay. So, looking at the requirements, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here. We lose the levels on the. Actually, I can just about do it. Yeah, okay. So we've got the levels on the left there. Okay. So level 1, statements will be supported by factual material. There is factual material, some of which may be accurate, some of which may be relevant, but it will not be really used to answer the question. Okay, and the material will be often very, very generalised. So it's very, very, very few dates, very few statistics, very few names of key people, etc., etc. It will just speak in very general terms. That's unclassified, as is level 2. That when you make your points, they will be developed with mostly accurate and factual material. So you get lots of dates, you get lots of names, you get lots of statistics in. But the point is, it will be descriptive. You'll simply be putting information in for the sake of it. You're not using the information to develop a line of argument or to argue a point. You're simply writing a narrative. Now, that's a really, really important point. Candidates will often learn their notes, and they'll sit there for 55 minutes and just write down everything they've learned. It may be broadly relevant to the question, but unless you've actually explicitly used that knowledge to answer the question, then the examiner will simply write in the margin that this is a description. No matter how accurate it is, no matter what a great story you tell, if it is a description, you cannot achieve anything higher than an unclassified grade. To get into the grades, you've got to be using your knowledge to explicitly answer the question. Okay, so remember, looking across to the section A, I'm going to just underline it there, implicit. If unclassified, basically you are assuming that the examiner will know what you're trying to do. You've got to directly, and the word is explicit, from level 3 onwards, you've got to be very explicit in the way in which you use your knowledge to answer the question. It's got to be really clear that you're using that knowledge to answer the question. Okay, so looking at level 3, analysis may include material which is descriptive. So grades D to E, you may lapse into description. Okay, there may still be parts of your answer which only implicitly relate, okay, or which lack focus, okay. But at this level, there will be some relevance, okay. The factual material will be accurate, but it may not consistently display relevance, but there will be some relevance, okay. So once you start making it relevant, you start to access grades D to E. But generally speaking, for the lower grades, the description still tends to be dominant, okay, which is the point I wanted to make there. Now, with level 4, once we move into grades B to C, the analysis that you're putting when you're making analytical points will be supported by accurate factual material which is relevant to the question asked, okay, and the selection, although it may lack balance in places, on the whole description is avoided. There's good, precise factual knowledge that is always being used to back up an analytical point, and thus the key point, I will keep emphasising, when you write your paragraphs, get your topic sentence at the beginning of the paragraph. So your subsequent sentences 2, 3, 4 onwards, which contain the factual support, are being used to support and develop your topic sentence. If you begin your paragraph with information and you put your topic sentence later on, then the examiner is likely to write in the margin a description or only implicit link to the question. So you make sure you link your knowledge to the question. And that's what you're doing with the grades B to C. On the whole, you are avoiding description. There may still be occasional sections of the essay where you lapse into a bit of description and you're just putting information down for the sake of it. But on the whole, description is avoided. And a quick comment on the word relevant. Okay. The precise support shouldn't just be accurate; it must be relevant. Okay, so again, if you put in I'll just be flippant here and put in the name of Chancellor Caprivi's pet dog because you happen to have come across it in an essay, then it's obviously not relevant. Okay, don't just pack your answer with statistics and names and facts just for the sake of it. You've got to be using your knowledge to make a point. So be careful not to stray into irrelevance. Now, often the candidates will do that, again, because they just want to show off their knowledge. You're not expected to put into the essay every single thing you've learned. Inevitably, you haven't got time to do that. You've got to cherry pick relevant information. So don't try and do that, and don't punish yourself at the end of the exam because you think, I've forgotten to mention something. The examiners do not expect you to put all your knowledge into the answer. They expect you to select relevant knowledge. Now, moving into level 5, it's really more of the same but sharper. Okay, the analysis will be sharply supported by an appropriate range and depth of accurate material. So very much like level 4, well selected, relevant, factual material. Rarely presented in a descriptive way. You can still get a grade A, and there could be perhaps a small section of description, but on the whole, description is missing. The supporting material will be used to present a convincing line of argument. So again, it's very much linking into that line of argument that we spoke about in the first strand. Now, I want to focus you on that, an appropriate range, okay, an appropriate range of information. So that's probably one of the big differences between a level 4 and a level 5. Level 4, if you think your answer, think of it this way, your answer will consist of building blocks. There'll be argument, counter-argument, different interpretations. Level 4, it's often the case you've got lots of relevant factual information that you're linking to your analysis, but it is much more convincing on one aspect of the question and not on the other. Whereas at level 5, you've got convincing knowledge all the way through. So for argument and counter-argument, you've got that convincing knowledge. Okay, so knowledge is a key thing. This is why we keep doing factual tests. It's not something you can just suddenly learn at the end of an A-level course. You've got to be constantly learning it, constantly revisiting it. So by the time you get to April, May, when you're really into the intensive final revision, it's just really a question of bringing the knowledge back into your head because you've already learnt it so many times before that it's almost becoming second nature to remember that fact. That's one of the big differences between A-level and AS or GCSE. Hope that was helpful to you. The third podcast will be on communication skills.